There is a sentence that changed the entire conversation. Not because it was shouted, not because it was accompanied by threats, not because it contained some dramatic declaration. Quite the opposite. It was calm, measured, almost pastoral. And perhaps that is why it carried so much weight. Don't do it. Those were the words, simple words, yet spoken by the Pope himself regarding the planned episcopal consecrations of the Society of St. Pius X. And within hours, the headlines were already writing the conclusion. The schism is here. The break is inevitable. The line has been crossed. But what if the reality is more complicated than the headlines suggest? What if the real issue isn't the consecrations themselves? What if the real issue lies somewhere deeper, somewhere that very few people are willing to discuss openly? By the end of this video, you'll understand why the debate surrounding July 1st is not primarily about 4 bishops. It is about a council. It is about authority. It is about the meaning of communion. And above all, it is about a question that has remained unresolved for 60 years. Let's begin with the facts. On June 16, 2026, speaking from Castel Gandolfo, Pope Leo XIV addressed questions concerning the Society of St. Pius X. His comments were respectful, measured, even conciliatory, but they were also unmistakably firm. "We invited them," he said. "I am considering another appeal." Then came the central request. "Don't do it." And finally, the phrase that generated the most discussion. They reject some fundamental elements, beginning with certain points of the Second Vatican Council. Then the conclusion. If they make this choice, I'm sorry, but we have to move forward. The interpretation was immediate. The society must submit, or the Church moves on without them. The question seems straightforward. If a group consecrates bishops without papal approval, isn't that automatically schism? Many would answer yes without hesitation. But history rarely rewards quick answers, and church history rewards them even less. Because before we can answer whether something is schismatic, we must understand what exactly is being contested. That is where the discussion becomes much more complicated. The Society of St. Pius X does not deny the Trinity. It does not deny the Incarnation. It does not deny the real presence. It does not reject the papacy. Every day its priests mention the reigning pope in the canon of the Mass. Every day they pray for him publicly. That matters, because schism traditionally involves a refusal of communion with the Roman pontiff. Yet the society continues to acknowledge the Roman pontiff. So what exactly is being disputed? The answer always returns to the same point: the Second Vatican Council, or more precisely, certain teachings associated with it. The Society repeatedly identifies 4 principal areas of concern: religious liberty, ecumenism, collegiality, and the liturgical reform that followed the Council. Notice something important. Even here, the Society does not claim that Vatican II never happened, nor does it claim that every document of the Council should be rejected. Its argument is narrower. Its argument is that specific teachings appear difficult to reconcile with previous magisterial teaching. That distinction is crucial, because it leads directly to the next question, and this question changes everything. Are these disputed points dogmas? Because if they are dogmas, the matter is simple. To deny dogma is heresy, case closed. But if they are not dogmas, then the situation becomes far more complex. And here something remarkable happens. The answer comes not from the Society, the answer comes from Rome itself. Archbishop Guido Pozzo, who spent years overseeing dialogue between the Vatican and the Society, addressed this issue directly. His words were widely reported. The disputed teachings concerning religious liberty, ecumenism, and interreligious dialogue, he explained, are not dogmatic definitions. They belong to the pastoral dimension of the Council. Pause there, because this distinction is enormous. Pastoral guidance is important, very important. But pastoral guidance is not identical to dogmatic definition. A dogma demands the assent of faith. A pastoral approach concerns the application of principles in historical circumstances. Those are not the same category. And once that distinction enters the discussion, new questions emerge immediately. If the disputed points are pastoral rather than dogmatic, what exactly is being demanded? If disagreement concerns prudential judgments rather than revealed truths, can disagreement automatically constitute schism? The question becomes uncomfortable because church history contains countless examples of debate regarding pastoral approaches. Saints have disagreed. Popes have disagreed. Councils have disagreed regarding disciplinary applications. The Church has survived all of it. And that is why the current controversy refuses to disappear. The deeper one studies it, the less simple it becomes. Now we arrive at another important point, the concept of necessity. The Society argues that its actions arise from what canon law calls a state of necessity. The claim is not new. Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre invoked it in 1988. The argument is straightforward. If a grave crisis threatens the transmission of Catholic tradition, extraordinary measures become justified. One may agree or disagree with that reasoning, but understanding it is essential. Because without understanding it, one cannot understand the Society's position. The Society does not describe its actions as rebellion. It describes them as preservation. Again, whether one accepts that argument is another matter. But the distinction matters. And interestingly, voices outside the Society have begun making similar observations. Bishop Joseph Strickland, who remains recognized within the structures of the Church, publicly argued earlier this year that the coming consecrations should be understood in light of what many faithful Catholics perceive as a crisis of tradition. That does not settle the debate, but it demonstrates that the debate is not confined to one group. Concern extends far beyond the Society itself. Then there is the chronology, and chronology often reveals what arguments conceal. February 2nd, the Society announces the consecrations. February 12th, meetings take place in Rome. Dialogue is offered. Conditions are proposed. February 18th, the Society declines. May 13th, Cardinal Fernandez publicly describes the consecrations as a schismatic act. May 14th, the Society responds with a declaration of faith. May 26th, the names of the future bishops are announced. June 16th, the Pope himself issues his appeal. Don't do it. Every step increases the tension. Every step narrows the available options. And yet, despite months of discussion, one central issue remains unresolved: the Council. Everything returns to the Council. Every warning, every dialogue, every proposal, every disagreement, every headline. The question beneath them all remains the same. Can concerns regarding certain interpretations of Vatican II be discussed openly, or must they be accepted without qualification? This is where the debate becomes larger than the Society itself, because millions of Catholics who have never attended an SSPX chapel are asking similar questions. Questions about religious liberty, questions about ecumenism, questions about continuity, questions about how apparent tensions between pre-conciliar and post-conciliar teaching should be understood. These questions did not begin in 2026. They did not begin in 1988. Many of them have existed since the closing sessions of the Council itself. And that is why the current crisis feels different. It is not creating a new debate. It is exposing an old one. A debate that was never fully resolved. A debate that has remained beneath the surface for decades. A debate now approaching a decisive moment. Because July 1st is approaching. The consecrations remain scheduled. Rome continues to warn against them. The Society continues preparing for them. And between those two positions stands a question that neither side has fully answered. Can disagreement regarding pastoral teachings be treated as equivalent to rejection of the faith itself? That question leads us directly into the heart of the crisis, and it is there that the real story begins. The question we arrived at in Part 1 cannot be avoided any longer. Can someone be accused of schism for refusing what Rome itself describes as non-dogmatic? At first glance, the answer seems obvious, but church history has a habit of complicating what initially appears simple, because the church has always distinguished between truths that must be believed and prudential decisions that can be debated. If every disagreement concerning pastoral approaches automatically created schism, then much of Catholic history would consist of nothing but schisms. Yet that is not how the Church has traditionally understood the matter. This is precisely why the controversies surrounding the Society of St. Pius X refuses to disappear. Every attempt to reduce it to a simple question encounters the same obstacle: the facts themselves. And the facts are stubborn. Let's consider what has happened over the last 60 years. The Council ended in 1965. Its documents were published. Its reforms were implemented. Yet almost immediately questions emerged. Not only from Archbishop Lefebvre, not only from traditionalists, but from theologians, bishops, priests, and even cardinals. Questions concerning continuity. Questions concerning interpretation. Questions concerning whether certain formulations represented development or rupture. These questions never completely disappeared. They simply moved from the center of public discussion to the margins. But unresolved questions have a way of returning, and now they have returned with extraordinary force. This is why July 1st matters. Not because 4 priests will become bishops, not because of canonical penalties, not even because of the possibility of excommunication. July 1st matters because it forces the Church to confront a question that has remained suspended for decades. What exactly is required for full communion? Think carefully about that, because the answer determines everything. If communion requires accepting every pastoral judgment exactly as currently formulated, then the discussion is already over. But if communion fundamentally consists in unity of faith, sacraments, and hierarchical structure, then the situation becomes more complicated. Very complicated. The Society argues that it remains Catholic precisely because it continues professing the Catholic faith, celebrating the Catholic sacraments, and recognizing the Roman Pontiff. Rome argues that resistance to the Council undermines communion. Between these two positions lies the battlefield on which the entire controversy rests. And that battlefield is not primarily canonical, it is theological. It concerns the nature of tradition itself. Here we arrive at the deepest issue: tradition. For many Catholics today, tradition means old customs, ancient ceremonies, Latin prayers, historic churches. But that is not how Catholic theology defines tradition. Tradition is the transmission of divine revelation through history, the living continuity of the faith. The same faith believed by the apostles, the same faith taught by the fathers, the same faith defended by the councils, the same faith handed down through generations. This is why traditional Catholics react so strongly when they perceive contradictions. Because for them, the central issue is not preference, it is continuity. The question is not, what do I like? The question is, what has always been taught? That distinction changes everything, and it explains why the Society repeatedly frames its objections in theological rather than emotional terms. Its leaders consistently argue that apparent tensions between certain conciliar formulations and earlier magisterial teachings require clarification. Whether one agrees or disagrees with that claim, the argument itself is theological, not political, not emotional, not personal. The problem is that clarification has rarely arrived. Instead, both sides often speak past one another. Rome insists upon acceptance. The Society insists upon explanation, and the gap remains. This brings us back to Pope Leo XIV. because many Catholics expected his pontificate to resolve the situation. When he was elected, some believed dialogue would intensify. Others believed discipline would intensify. But what has actually happened? Something different. Leo XIV has adopted a tone of concern rather than confrontation. His recent appeal reflects that approach. He did not threaten. He did not condemn. He did not issue an ultimatum. He appealed. Don't do it. Those words matter, because they reveal something important. The Pope understands the gravity of the moment. If the situation were merely administrative, there would be no need for a personal appeal. If it were merely disciplinary, procedures would already be underway. Instead, Leo XIV addressed the matter personally. That suggests he recognizes that something much larger is at stake. And perhaps that is the most significant development of all. The crisis is no longer hidden. For years, discussions surrounding Vatican II existed largely among specialists, theologians, canonists, historians. Today, the questions have become public. Ordinary Catholics are asking them. Young Catholics are asking them. Families are asking them. Seminarians are asking them. The questions refuse to disappear because the answers remain incomplete. Now consider another paradox. The same church that frequently speaks about dialogue often struggles to dialogue with those most attached to tradition. This perception exists among many faithful Catholics. Whether fair or unfair, it exists, and perceptions have consequences. When Catholics see extensive conversations with secular institutions, interreligious leaders, and dissenting theologians, while traditional concerns appear unresolved, frustration inevitably grows. That frustration fuels sympathy. Not necessarily agreement, but sympathy. And that sympathy extends far beyond SSPX chapels. This is one reason the coming consecrations attract so much attention. The event functions as a symbol. For supporters, it symbolizes resistance and continuity. For critics, it symbolizes disobedience and division. But symbols are powerful precisely because they condense larger realities into visible actions. The consecrations have become a symbol of the unresolved relationship between authority and tradition. And symbols rarely disappear quietly. This is why predictions are so difficult. Some predict excommunications, others predict eventual reconciliation. Some predict further division, others predict a future agreement. History offers examples supporting every possibility. Remember 1988. Many believed everything was finished, yet decades later, the excommunications were lifted, dialogue resumed. The situation evolved. History did not end. That lesson deserves attention, because history often moves more slowly than headlines. Today's crisis feels definitive, but many crises have felt definitive. The Arian crisis, the Western Schism, the Reformation, the modernist controversies. The Church has survived all of them. Not because the questions were easy, but because truth ultimately outlives confusion. This brings us to the final question, the one that lies beneath every other question. What is communion? Is communion merely institutional alignment, or is communion fundamentally rooted in shared faith? The Church has traditionally answered both. Communion requires unity with legitimate authority, but authority itself exists to preserve the faith received from Christ. The relationship is inseparable. Authority without truth becomes arbitrary. Truth without authority becomes fragmentation. The challenge is maintaining both simultaneously. That challenge stands before the Church today. It stands before Rome. It stands before the society. It stands before every Catholic trying to understand what is happening. The temptation is to choose sides, to simplify, to reduce everything to heroes and villains, but reality is rarely that convenient. The deeper challenge is to remain faithful to the truth while preserving charity, to defend tradition without hatred, to defend authority without blind submission, to love the Church without pretending that difficulties do not exist. That balance has always been difficult. It remains difficult now. July 1st is approaching rapidly. The consecrations may take place, Rome may respond. The headlines will certainly multiply, arguments will intensify, predictions will continue. But beneath all of it, the fundamental issue remains unchanged. The future of Catholic unity will not be determined merely by administrative decisions. It will depend on whether the Church can convincingly demonstrate the continuity of her faith across generations. Because Catholics do not ultimately remain Catholic for a council. They do not remain Catholic for a policy. They remain Catholic because they believe Christ entrusted his truth to the Church. A truth that cannot contradict itself, a truth that cannot expire, a truth that belongs neither to the past nor the present, but to every age. And that is why the real challenge is not July 1st. The real challenge is answering a question that has remained open for 60 years. How do we reconcile continuity and change without sacrificing either? The Society has one answer, Rome has another. History has not yet delivered its verdict, and perhaps that is why Pope Leo XIV's appeal matters so much. Because beneath the words, "Don't do it," lies a deeper hope. The hope that unity can still be preserved without demanding surrender. Whether that hope becomes reality remains the question that now faces the entire Church. If you appreciate this work and want to support the channel, you can join our membership program. We are completely independent, and your support helps us continue producing content about faith, tradition, and the life of the Church. Thank you very much for your support. What do you think? If you like this video, comment Amen. Pray for the Church. God bless you.